Happy weekend, everybody. Thanks for coming back to my channel here, Ken McCullough, the Jazz Vinyl Audio File. The audio files. To talk about 3 upcoming and new releases, 2 records in the ongoing contemporary, the Craft Contemporary Reissue Series. This one, Leroy Vinnegar Sextet Stereo Records. And Andre Previn and his pals Shelly Manne, Red Mitchell, West Side Story. Both of these albums, and of course I just judge all my comments as far as sales go from the Jazz Record Center where I work occasionally. Both these records are very, 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 very hard to find. There are many, many reissues of the Leroy Vinnegar record on various labels, such as the one FSR, I think, out of Spain. There are a lot of different reissues of this recording. It's a really popular recording. You're more likely to see this in a store than that. And lastly, but definitely not leastly, coming up on May 19th, Charlie Parker Bird in LA. We'll do a little unboxing for you here. But first, let's talk about these 2 records. You could say any record really with Shelly Manne is worth hearing. Andre Previn, to me, is a great pianist. He's a great producer, arranger, but he's more of a classical dude. He doesn't really have a blues feeling, for my opinion, in his piano playing. But with that said, this is a beautiful rendition of West Side Story by really Shelly Manne, Red Mitchell, and Andre Previn. Just an immaculate crew. My good buddy Alex Halberstadt, who writes for the New York Times Magazine and edits the magazine for the Museum of Modern Art, and my colleague Esterophile was over today. We were talking about the whole difference between Roy Dunan and Rudy Van Gelder at Blue Note. You know, Rudy made far, 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 far more records. Blue Note's output is massive and squanches the contemporary output, but the contemporary output, all those records sound incredible. They sound natural, they're flat, there's no weird piano. They are consistently beautiful sounding in every possible way. They're incredibly natural sounding recordings, engineered by the great Roy Dunan, as where the Blue Note records are just all over the place. Some records sound great, some don't. Some sound better in stereo than in mono, and plus there are a whole lot more to choose from. But there is an argument to be made for buying all the contemporary records simply because there aren't that many of them, and they all, from an audio quality, sound wonderful. And most of them, if not all of them, have Shelly Manne, he's not unsung, but he actually is. I mean, you don't speak of Shelly Manne as you do in the same breath as Tony Williams or Elvin Jones, but he really, in his own way, is just as profound. He was a remarkable musician, not just a drummer. Played on many, many Lalo Schifrin soundtracks. I think he plays on the Bullet soundtrack, Steve McQueen, Mannix, all those incredible things. He's played on Henry Mancini things. Shelly Manne, Larry Bunker, Frank Gant did a lot of the LA recording work along with the Wrecking Crew guys in the 60s. But that alone is a reason to buy these records. And Leroy Vinnegar Sextet, Vinnegar on bass, the great Victor Feldman on vibes, Gerald Wilson trumpet, Teddy Edwards tenor sax, Carl Perkins piano, Tony Basley, I don't know, on drums. A remarkable West Coast lineup. My buddy Dan Shepard coined the phrase about West Coast jazz. What did he say? What did he call it? It's more than just cool jazz, because some of that music's really brilliant. I was listening to Gary Mulligan with Chet Baker last week on some recording. Just phenomenal. I prefer East Coast, of course. But anyway, those are 2 reasons just to buy these records. They're great performances, great recordings. Another good buddy of mine, Mike Trey, the best turntable setter-upper guy on the East Coast, uses Shelly Manne Night at the Black Hawk as his main setup LP when setting up turntables. And Mike sets up everything from $4,000 to $400,000 turntables on a regular basis. There's something about the contemporary records that are just undeniably true sounding and right sounding. Nothing jumps out because the frequency range is so smooth. The recordings are just seamless and so easy to listen to. My favorites, of course, are Art Pepper, Smack Up Art Pepper meets the rhythm section. The Paul Winters records, which you have to kind of Shelly Manne, Ray Brown, Barney Kessel. Barney Kessel, is kind of like a country bumpkin on those records, but the sound is so gorgeous. All those poll winners records are great, and I don't know why they have not already been reissued. There are 2 or 3 of them, I believe, as well as all the other Shelly Manne records on contemporary, like Chessmate, I think Doctari, a handful, and they're great. Shelly Manne was just a consummate performer. He always played for the music. He had a great skill set. Let's talk about this Charlie Parker. Oh. Bird in LA. This comes out May 19th. I'll read you. It's a 4 LP set documenting his 4 eras of performance in LA, which are sort of centered around his time in the the Camarillo psych ward to recover from his drug addiction. Spent more time in Los Angeles than anywhere outside of Kansas City and New York. This historic album brings together previously unknown and unissued recordings along with rarities captured during the 5 California trips Bird made during his too short life. Among the crown jewels on this set are How High the Moon, 52nd Street, from his engagement with Dizzy Gillespie at Billy Berg's in 1945. Also included are 3 previously unknown performances from 1948 Jazz at the Philharmonic concert at the Shrine Auditorium. Most intriguingly, the complete recordings of this infamous July 1952 naked party at the Altadena Ranch of Zidria Zorthian are included. Recording engineer Doug Benson has done a remarkable job of restoring these recordings to the highest possible audio fidelity. I'll take a blade here and undo this, but last month I reviewed the Record Store Day Charlie Parker record, which I thought was a revelation. I mean, I thought the sound was great considering it's from like in the mid 40s. It was so vibrant and there was so much energy, and he's playing with Afro-Cuban big band on a couple tracks in a New York ballroom, and the groove is just incredible. And not just for Parker, but for the whole band. Those are astounding documents. And if you're gonna really get into jazz, for me, I got into jazz through the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and then I was a drummer, so I started studying the entire array of great jazz drummers, with me a particular fondness originally for Philly Joe Jones and Tony Williams, then Elvin Jones, before going back and really appreciating people like Art Taylor and Shelly Manne. But in the same way, if you're going to appreciate and really get the most out of being a jazz fan, you have to listen to Charlie Parker. The problem is a lot of the Charlie Parker records you find today, they're originally or eventually put as OJCs, just don't sound that good. We had somebody in the store a while back, and I said, let's play Bird at St. Nick's, which is an easy record, an OJC. The sound was horrible, with I think Ray Haynes on drums. The Verve records with Bird are great. He did like 8 records for Verve. They're all like theme records. Some of them have really cloying, miserable kind of strings, but there's like Latin, Afro-Cuban big band stuff on there. But those records are really hard to find, and hello, they have not been reissued. I don't understand why. I know they have to make choices, and I've made this rant before, that I think record labels, these big labels like Sony or Kraft, they can kind of decide who they're going to make a star for the day. For a long time it was just Sony whoring out Miles Davis for everything he was worth. Now they're kind of running out because they've done everything they can. But now with people like Zev Feldman doing amazing reissue work, I know everyone doesn't like all his records, they are unearthing amazing performances, such as the bulk of the Bill Evans records he has put out, which has created a sales bonanza for all Bill Evans records. Even the ones that are regularly being reissued are not hard to find. They fly out of the Jazz Record Center, because after John Coltrane and Miles Davis, Bill Evans is probably the best-selling jazz artist in contemporary times. And there really is no jazz without Charlie Parker. And like all great musicians, his playing is absolutely timeless. I think if they should play Charlie Parker every morning for school kids going into class. The music has so much energy and freedom and swing and really joy. There was so much joy in Charlie Parker's playing. So it's great to see him get the full court press, even if these are sides that I think were once considered not that great. But who knows who began that thought pattern. So let's do the deal here and undo this. There is no hype sticker. Front, back, off. Comes in there's a ribbon. You pull up the ribbon and you get a very nice booklet. Let's see what's in here. Nice picture of Parker as a, no, this is Relaxing at Camarillo, courtesy of the Norman Sachs collection. So that is Parker in Camarillo, cleaning up. Very thin. Sign outside entrance to Berg's courtesy of the Los Angeles Jazz Institute. If you can see that there. Ooh, a beautiful like card or whatever you would call that. I don't know if that's all coming through. Here is, here's a photo of Berg, Charlie Parker and Doris Sidnor at Camarillo. Look at, man, look at that. What a charming devil you can tell he is, chatting up that very lovely lady. That is really something. I mean, Charlie Parker, brilliant, genius. One of the great geniuses of jazz, one of the founding fathers of bebop and what we think of as contemporary jazz. Without Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, you have no Coltrane, you have no Miles Davis or Bill Evans or Stan Kenton or anybody really, because they opened the door. They took it from big band music, which does not sell at all anymore, to contemporary improvisations. So then we have the 4 disc, which I think are probably no big deal to see. Oh, fuck. LP1, LP2, so those are all the same. Don't need to go through each one of those. I am curious to see who did the liner notes for the Charlie Parker. Unfortunately, there we have some split packaging, split seam from the Journey. It's not the labeling. That's just what happens sometimes. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Oh, cool. Nice black Verve label. Let's see who did these liner notes. I love, nothing like a good set of liner notes to get me aroused, let me tell you that. Let's see. Zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-yay, my oh my, what a homo sapien day. Well, who the heck wrote the liner notes? Well, they don't say who wrote the liner notes. Anyway, thanks for checking in today and joining me for a celebration of the great Charlie Parker, who can never be celebrated enough.